I think all of us, maybe not even just women, become these human doings instead of human beings.
Oh, that's interesting. So for many women, they run their lives by just doing and doing and doing for other people to the point that it exhausts them and it's bad for their health. How can we help women to let go of that a little bit and let other people do for them? What can we do to encourage them more?
Oh, this comes up with almost everyone I work with. They're so busy taking care of everyone else that they drain the water in their well, so to speak, so there's nothing more to give. I think of it like the oxygen mask syndrome. You know how in the airplanes they always say you take the oxygen before you give it to the next person so that you can breathe? If we can't breathe anymore, we can't help anybody else. So replenishing the well is what I lead them to do.
A lot of times, women feel guilty about doing things for themselves. They feel like they're being selfish, and more importantly, oftentimes they get their value from what they do from other people.
Yeah.
So that's a hard one because they don't want to give it up because they're thinking, well, you know, the more I do, the more valuable I am. And, you know, the irony of it is that they end up not having, you know, much value at all out of it because they're really giving to get instead of, if they would just give themselves, like you're saying, fill themselves back up, then they would have more to give from a really more of an authentic, pure place, and then they would actually have more love in their life.
I think all of us, maybe not even just women, become these human doings instead of human beings.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so as human doings, what happens when a person who does stops? Feelings come up.
Yeah.
It's scary. It is so scary to change that. And when you take the time to get to know yourself, all of a sudden you've never done it, it's terrifying. And a lot of times it takes support to be able to allow yourself to take care of yourself.
So a man and a woman get married and they're happily married, have a couple kids, and she's doing and doing and doing, and he's working and she's working, and they have kids and they have different roles, and she keeps taking on more and more and more and more and more. What's his role in that?
In this stereotypic example, he starts backing up a little bit more and she has to compensate. So in order to make things run either around the house or with the family or with the marriage or whatever, or all of the above.
Yeah.
And he gets to go, in this example, go to work and come home. And when he's home, he's off the clock. And when she's home, she's on the clock.
Yeah, women have
24
another
hours a
job
day.
when they come home.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Well, so where's the recognition on the guy's part in that? Is kind of what you're asking. And I come back and say both things. I say, why isn't he paying attention to the woman he swore he was going to be living life with instead of attending a relationship in a family gathering, right? He's going to be doing something. But where is she to put her stake in the ground and say no?
I had a client, it was like this great thing that happened to her. She was living with this guy and she wanted him to help her with the bills, paying the bills. So he was supposed to put the correct invoice and correct check in the bill that had the label for that client, for that person they had to pay. Well, he put the wrong ones in, mixed the wrong check with the wrong invoices, and then they started getting phone calls from people. She said, I'm not going to have you help me with that anymore. Well, that was his kind of passive-aggressive way. He didn't want to do that. So the woman says, okay, I'm the one that can do it. And so she stepped right in and took it all over.
See, but it's the terminology you're using that I write about as well, and that is men should be helping women. No, men are supposed to do their 50%. Helping means that it's inherently her job and he can assist her with what she's supposed to do. It's not help from my standpoint
So maybe
at all.
it's treating the relationship a little more like a partnership. My husband's much better at doing dishes than I am. His mother taught him well. She had 4 boys, they all did their share. I love that about him. Whenever he does that, I feel loved. He doesn't do it because he's thinking, you know, oh, Barbara
Does he
feels
know
loved.
that you feel
He
loved?
does now
See-
because I told him, I said, don't worry about the flowers. Those are nice. But when you wash the dishes, I feel loved. So when he does that, he knows it means more to me, and he's much better at it than I am.
You know, if you're a woman who basically says, I do all these things because he doesn't do it the way I want him to do it, and so I'm just going to step in, and now you're pissed off and resentful and all those things, if you step back and give him space to be himself and to do his part, he's not going to do it the way you do it.
No, but he'll do it his way, and he'll do it a way that it gets done.
And you have to be okay with that.
Well,
Just
exactly.
accept it.
CEOs of companies have the same problem when they found a company and they're starting a startup. You know, they're everything. They're the engineer, they're the marketing department, they're sales, they're everything because they're one person. But little by little, the company grows. If you have what's called founderitis, you end up having to own everything anyway, so you micromanage the process in addition to how it turns out. and the company fails. So in relationships, it's the same thing. I mean, you can choose in that situation with a controlling person. You have to choose. You can control the path or you can control the goal, but you can't control both. There was a study done in the 50s or 60s where 25 toddlers were brought in, 25 boys, 25 girls were brought into a waiting room, and inside the waiting room they brought their parents, and there were magazines and books for the parents, and there were blocks for the kids and nothing else to play with. They were waiting for the study, where in fact the study was the waiting room. So they were observing these kids. 25 out of 25 boys inevitably got to the blocks and they built something up, and they would look at their parents and say, "Look what I did." And the parents would look and say, "Wow, good job, way to go." 25 out of 25 girls would make something out of the blocks and they'd say, look what I did. And the parents would say, "Wow, good girl." And the implications are so profound because the boys learned that a job well done earned them recognition and reward, whereas women, the girls, learned that as women, they would become acceptable if they did their job as women. So,
I mean, and it all has huge implications on women's health. And so when you think about, the whole context of this question, at the end of the day, if women want to get to a place where they're living healthier lives, they have to take ownership of, what jobs they do in their family, what roles they play in their relationship. Nobody's going to fix this for women but themselves. And I think that's the hardest rub of this question, is that the truth is that for women to live healthier lives, they have to stop doing so much, but nobody's going to cause them to stop doing so much but themselves.